This is the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
That's right. This is the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. I am your host, John Solberg, and today's episode is being brought to you by The Butcher Shop, purveyors of highly sought-after 100% Australian non-crossbred Wylara 9+ briskets. And as always, they are handpicked just for you. The Butcher Shop has been retailing the finest meats for the past 15 years and is run by the father and son team of Kevin and Jordan Green. Every week, they are shipping out competition-quality meats to many of the biggest teams in the competition world across the nation. Simply put, teams who use the Butcher Shop win, and they win often. Not a competitor, but still have an eye for their finer cuts? Great news, the Butcher Shop is shipping some of the finest prime, dry-aged, Australian Wagyu, and Japanese Wagyu steaks to people just like you and me who aspire to be the kings and queens of the cul-de-sac. The Butcher Shop always has Berkshire, Compart Duroc, Allegiance Duroc, and Prairie Fresh all-natural pork in stock, and again, always hand-picked just for you. Now, you might be saying, John, all this sounds great, but what about that exotic stuff? Rest easy, knowing the Butcher Shop will get you your next elk steak or camel roast. They'll get it out promptly. Yes, that's right, they have camel. Let's review the best competition briskets. Check. The best pork selection. Check. Giving you the better overall option to cook at home? Check. Give the Butcher Shop a call today, 850-458-8782. That's 850-458-8782. Mention the BBQ Central Show for 10% off your entire order each and every time. You can also interact with them on their Facebook page, facebook.com/The Butcher Shop. Shop is spelled S-H-O-P-P-E. The Butcher Shop, home of the 100% Australian non-crossbred Wylara 9+ briskets. And here's what's going on in this episode. Greg rounds up Rod Gray, Darren Worth, and Dan Hickson to talk a little bit of the short-lived Kingsford Invitational.
So while we get into that, this is the second annual Kingsford Invitational. I just shout out the phone number to all these other guys. Hopefully they jump in here in just a second. But if not, we're good. This is the second annual Kingsford Invitational that's going to take place this coming weekend. I was actually at the inaugural event last year. Saw it go down live. Not as lucky this year for whatever reason, but, different topic for a different day, of course. We start dissecting the event itself. How about refresh the audience as to how you actually qualified to be able to cook in the Kingsford Invitation?
Well, we qualified by winning the American Royal Open in Kansas City back in the first weekend of October.
All right, look at this. I'm going to get to add your good buddy here. Rod, you there?
Saving the best for last.
Well, it's you and Darren Worth right now. I'm waiting for the other two to still show up. I don't understand. Everything working all right?
Bastards.
That's all right. Rod, Darren was just recounting how he found his way to the Kingsford Invitational this coming weekend. For the folks that perhaps aren't familiar with how you are able to cook there, what did you do?
I just won this season 4 of BBQ Pitmasters, and it was an automatic berth into the Kingsford Invitational.
All right. Let me back up just a second, Rod, since you're in here. I was just asking Darren, before we got into the whole dissection of the upcoming Kingsford Invitational, a lot of people are going to be going out to the World Food Championships. You guys are going to be taking part in the Kingsford Invitational. From a team perspective, Rod, you've seen a lot of success over the years. As you sit November 5th right now, how are you gauging where Pellet Envy is sitting for the 2013 competition season?
You always want to be in the top 10. You always want to be in the hunt. I'm not in the hunt again this year. Last year it was a medical issue. This year, the travel and the stress of the pitmasters thing, even though it seemed easy, once I won that, I relaxed a little bit. You can see a much stronger start to the year than you can a finish to the year. But don't count me out, Darren. I'm going to cook well this weekend.
Well, I'm sure everybody's going to be putting their best foot forward. Also joining the show is Dan Hickson. You there, Dan?
I'm here. Sorry I'm late to the party.
Dan, that's all right. We got 3 of 4. We're missing the Memphis and May winner currently, but that's all right. Dan, you probably caught the tail end of that question. Obviously, the reigning 2013 KCBS Team of the Year as we sit November 5th here. Kind of give us a snapshot of how your season's going and, what you think of how things have transpired so far.
Well, the season's winding down for us. We only got 2 competitions left. We got the Kingsford last, and then we're going to do King of the Smokers. So, started out the season strong. Last year we had an amazing year with 11 grand championships. This year has been the year of, good finishes, but not outstanding finishes. 3rd place, 4th place, 2nd place. Still a great year, and we're thrilled. But ready for the season to wind down and start the next one.
Dan Hickson, Rod Gray, and Darren Worth joining me here on the show. Pitmasters of Three Eyes Barbecue, Pellet Envy, and Iowa Smoky D's, respectively. Dan, let's go back to you here. You obviously are into the Kingsford Invitational because you're the current the reigning KCBS champion. On the whole, Kingsford, synonymous with grilling, obviously. Live fire cooking in general, probably nobody bigger in the industry than them as far as charcoal is concerned, especially when it comes to the brand recognition. Were you surprised at all to see them kind of come out of the sponsorship stable and get into actually putting on an event that would be like an invite only? And in the end, do you think this helps spread the word of the brand?
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. They're definitely up there as far as people using their products. And I think, putting on a TV show like this and putting up the prize money for a contest definitely gets them a lot of recognition.
Rod, were you surprised to see them take a step out of their comfort zone and get into putting on events and, as Dan said, kind of shoot a TV show around it as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is something new for Kingsford. I think they're looking for different angles to show people that some of the best cooks in the country use their product. I know last year was kind of a learning curve. They ended up in central Missouri and out in the middle of nowhere. So this year they've retooled, and we're going to do it in the most populated city in the U.S. So I think they're working on an event that could be a top-notch stellar event for years to come.
Darren, your take, surprised that Kingsford got into the contest portion of this?
Well, no, there's no surprise. It's kind of what they both said, it's really not a big surprise they're in that arena, but it's given them tons of exposure. When I look at it, I'd rather be cooking in Bell, Missouri this weekend than New York City, I can tell you that.
Darren, speaking from firsthand experience, no. Absolutely you do not. Unless you like cows that much, you probably don't. And wind. Cows and wind, maybe. Maybe you do. Maybe do you? I could be taking way out of
Greg, people from Iowa love cattle.
Hey, well, that's a soundbite I'm going to isolate and put in the beginning of a show, I can tell you that. All right, Rod, let's go to you for the next question. This event is a bit unique in a few different ways, one of which is on Friday. You have this one-bite challenge, which will take place, as I just said, Friday night. First, do you have your one-bite challenge recipe honed in, or is this something that you're actually still dialing in as you're driving to the NYC?
No, we had to submit recipes, so it's as dialed in as it's going to get. Although I will tell you that I think just to psych me out, Darren shared a little bit of his with me today, and I don't even think I'm going to turn mine in. I think I'm going to lobby to judge just so I can taste his. But I've practiced mine. I think there's a post on Pellet Envy of a steak I cooked over the weekend, doing a little practice just to make sure I get my timing down on a Weber kettle, and yeah, I've worked on it, honestly.
Dan, Rod's kind of let the cat out of the bag. Obviously, you have to have something dialed in. Are you comfortable with what your one bite is going to be, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, like I said, we had to submit recipes. Thankfully, I haven't heard Darren's recipe, and don't tell me because I don't want to be psyched out. But no, it's simplicity at its finest, really. 5 ingredients, 1 is steak. There's not a whole lot of directions you can go with it, or at least I didn't think so. So we're just going for simplicity and cook right, which is kind of our formula for barbecue, too.
All right, Darren. So obviously, according to Rod, you have a very good recipe up your sleeve. Anything that you could share with us? And is this something that perhaps we would be finding in a Smokey D's restaurant?
Hey, before he answers, Dan, you and I should just eat our steaks and then eat some of Darren's too. That's what I can tell you. Maybe we can eat one of the judges. I don't know, but I think that's what we should do.
I've seen Rod act like this before. My recipe, was
just call me a sandbagger.
You are. You always have been. My recipe was developed over beers at a bar between two guys. One was a butcher and one was an avid griller in the backyard, two very good customers of ours. And what's special about the recipe, I think, that I'm bringing is not only do they ask you to do a one-bite challenge with 5 ingredients, with one of them being steak, but they also want you to represent your hometown or your region of the country and be able to tell a story about it. And we're putting different things like blue cheese and prosciutto and all that all come within 25 miles of our hometown here. So if it doesn't turn out very good, at least I've got a great story.
The golden days of barbecue back in the day, and those were some of the greatest pitmasters of that era. For sure, some are still around, some are not. You want to find out more about this Kingsford Invitational Roundtable? Head on over to thebbqcentralshow.com. Link in the show notes. You can get the complete episode. Make sure you stop by the Butcher Shop on their Facebook page, facebook.com/thebutchershop. Shop spelled SHOPPE. Mention the Barbecue Central Show for 10% off your entire order of high-quality meat products. You want to get a hold of me? Shoot me an email. John, John, at thebbqcentralshow.com. I'd love to hear from you. And until next time on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less, I'm your host, John Solberg. Now get yourself outside and cook something.